Andrew McCART, IFL TV in association with MTK Global. I'm here at AAA Academy Boxing Gym. With me I've got Alex Arthur. First and foremost, good New Year, good Christmas?
Aye, good, really good. Spent a lot of time with the boys outside the boxing gym, which was nice. Went for a lot of fattening meals and spent a lot of time together.
Enjoying life.
Aye, it was great. This is
a second home for you, this gym.
It really is. I'm never out this place now. It's like my second home. We've just had some showers installed as well. So all we need now is a telly and a bed, and that's it.
That's it, you've got a second home.
That's the one.
Well, again, I always catch up with you and we talk about the boxing world and what's happened. So I want to just, the tail end of last year, we had two pay-per-view fights a couple of days before Christmas from Dillian Whyte and Chisora, and obviously Frampton Warrington. I will start with the Dillian Whyte Chisora fight. Did you watch it, and what were your thoughts?
It was as expected. I actually didn't expect it to be as exciting, to be honest, than what it was. I expected a tamer version of the first fight, but that's not what we got. The fans got treated to another brilliant heavyweight fight with two top British heavyweight fighters, which is becoming a thing now, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Fantastic performance by Dillian Whyte, and you know, that counter punch picked at the end was absolutely beautiful. What a left hook! The timing of that punch was like something you see in the welterweight division, and I was blown away by the shot, the power, how much turnover he got in the punch, how much snap. Tremendous.
Is that becoming a signature shot, that left hook for Dillian Whyte, isn't it?
Aye.
It's like every time he hits with that, like Lucas Brown, he hit with that shot.
Yeah, but you know, forever I always thought I actually commentated on once, I think at the football stadium in Leeds, and I noticed his right hand was fairly weak in comparison to his left. I'm quite sure not a lot of people would like a punch in the mouth for a right hand for Dillian Whyte, but in comparison to his left hook, his right hand, if you watch it, is relatively weak compared to his left hook, and I can't see him knocking anyone out with a good right hand, but his left hook, if it lands, it's game over.
It's game over. Well,
game over.
There's talk about him fighting the rematch for Anthony Joshua.
Yeah.
Again, Joshua's still not got an opponent for April.
Yeah. He's a different animal now compared to the first fight, and you know, you can see that he's grown in confidence. His body shape's changed a wee bit. He looks more muscular now than what he did before. There seems to be improvements in his engine as well. He looks to be a wee bit fitter than what he has in the past. If you watch over some of his previous fights, he looks like he's gassing quite early. Now he's still going strong, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds. He's pulling power shots out at the end of the fight. So I think it's a different fight. I think he's a different animal, and I think that I'm not saying that he was going to go in there and beat Anthony Joshua, but you know, it'll definitely be a more competitive fight this time, and I'm positive of that.
Do you think that fight will go ahead in April? Do you think that's probably the fight that people are going to expect rather than?
I would probably
else?
say so. Yeah. I would probably say so, Andrew. I think that, and it's easy to make, isn't it? So, and it's a very sellable fight, and one that the whole world will tune in to watch again. And because the first fight was a great fight, we've seen Joshua tested, we've seen him hurt, winded, wobble a wee bit, and you know, and he came back to win with that fantastic uppercut. What a punch! And so it's definitely one of the best heavyweight fights out there. For sure.
Yeah, but I don't think I've spoke to you before. Since the Wilder Fury fight.
I didn't think so.
So what's your thoughts on that one then?
Amazing, wasn't it? Yeah. It was just amazing to watch.
Like everyone else,
I had him winning by maybe 3 to 4 rounds. Clear. When I watched it back, I noticed that not all his jabs were landing flush like they seemed to be at some points. Wilder was deflecting a few, catching a few, but for me, Fury's still a clear winner. I think comprehensively outboxed him. Apart from the knockdowns, nothing else really went in Wilder's favour, did it? He looked totally baffled and confused, and he was bewildered at Fury's movement and the way that he sort of adopted that herky-jerky style, and it made it really, really difficult for Wilder to read anything that he was doing, and he fought a great fight, great performance.
Wilder's came out and said that he's ready for the rematch, if Fury's up for the rematch, so that's probably, I think that will probably go ahead before any one of them two fight Joshua. Yeah. So the rematch, do you think Tyson Fury will be more ready, and probably again this a tough opponent to step up from, just having 3 years off, 2 warm-up fights, Wilder, but now he's had that experience with Wilder in the ring. Do you think he can go out and get the victory this time?
I think he can. I think he can, and I think that he'll be better prepared than even what he can only be better prepared, because his body will gradually get fitter and fitter and fitter, and because he's not having long layoffs now and eating bad food and drinking alcohol and stuff, he can only get better. He can only get fitter. So a better, fitter, more energetic, and now, like you said, a more educated Tyson Fury will be smarter this time. He'll know what to expect. You know, he's felt Fury's power. You know, he was on the deck, he got back up. There was no issue there. So I think it'll be a different story next time.
What's your thoughts on Ben Davison, Tyson Fury's coach? I mean, people were giving him sort of...
it was a wee bit...
Like, no, he's not ready for this sort of magnitude of a fight and stuff like that, but he's went out there and it
was a wee bit uncalled for, really, wasn't it? Because he seemed to have done a great job in preparation, and watching them work together, it looks like they've got a really good working relationship. It looks like they know each other very well, they've got a good understanding of each other. I think bringing Freddie Roach in was... I think it was one of these situations, just with a wee bit added experience there was helpful, and I think with them being over there, they needed a gym to base themselves in, and I think that was probably the reason that, you know, they developed that relationship with Freddie. And I think that Freddie would have added elements of strength to their game. I think there's no doubt about that, but I think the fact that he piped up in an interview and said that, you know, that Ben was basically no any good, or I think it was uncalled for. Really. I mean, I wouldn't take it too seriously and look too much into it, but I didn't think there was any need for it. To be honest, you know, I didn't think there was any need for it, and you know, it made Freddie look a wee bit like he was trying to, you know, steal away Tyson Fury. Which was a bit uncalled for. Really.
Well, there you go. Well, let's talk about the three of them then. I wouldn't call it a love triangle, but Joshua, Wilder and Fury. Yeah. Who's on top for you?
Right now, you've probably still got to say that Tyson Fury is the lineal heavyweight champion of the world, and I mean, it's really unfortunate how things have worked out for him. But you know, I still think that I didn't think any of them can cope with him when he's at his absolute best, even Anthony Joshua. And I do think that Anthony Joshua is probably, personally, a bigger puncher than Wilder, because he puts them together better for me. You know, he's more compact, and you know, he's a better design when you look at him punch compared to Wilder, and which makes him more dangerous because he's got the basics nailed down, where Wilder's all over the place.
Very long and ranging.
And very awkward. And I think, I said this before, I think in one of our previous interviews, I think he's too light. I think Wilder is too light for the big boys now.
15-4 or something?
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I mean, he's far, far too light. He really needs to get squatting, and their legs are just like, they're like toothpicks, man.
I'll see what you squat. What do you squat now? Jeez.
I can squat about 210, 215, but I can get 200 kilos for reps. So, but I mean, he needs to get squatting and add some strength to the legs, and it will only take away his speed or agility or anything like that. It'll just give him a wee bit more power for me, and a wee bit more of a foundation, a bit more of a base. You know, we've seen him hurt by Ortiz. You know, if that was Anthony Joshua, I reckon Anthony Joshua would have took Wilder out. He's a great finisher.
Well, again, with the heavyweight scene's probably the best it's been in, would you say, decades probably, since Tyson era? Oh,
it's super exciting. And I mean, again, you can't forget the other British guys. The other British guys are looking great as well. White, and even Chisora. It's like I think his time's up. And
big Joe Joyce coming through.
Exactly.
He's not everyone.
Joyce is another really, really good fighter. I mean, David Price is another good one there. That's a hot and cold situation for him sometimes. But
you've got big baby Miller in the States making some noise.
It's really exciting. So, heavyweight boxing is looking good for a change. That'll.
You like Usyk, don't you?
Very much. That'll change a game. That'll change a game. I mean, people say. I mean, we've seen him fight. He fought in WSB. I think a few times at super heavyweight.
Joe Joyce, boxing super. What's it called?
I think he fought a good German guy as well. Didn't he know? And I'm sure a Uzbekistan guy. I think he flattened them all, didn't he? And if you see him in the WSB, he's big. He's big, he's thick, he's full. You know, I think there's no problem for him to, apparently, he walks around at 16 and a half stone without any trouble anyway.
That's a good weight. It's heavier than Wilder, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think that, you know, if he goes into serious training and knowing they guys, they know how to train properly, he'll probably put another stone on top of that. I wouldn't be surprised to see Usyk in the ring at 17 and a half stone.
Really?
Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. Apparently his natural body weight, talking to one of my good Ukrainian pals a few months back, he walks around it at 16.5 stone without even trying. So he was dropping a couple of stone to make cruiserweight apparently. So there you go.
Some inside info there.
Aye. So if he puts on a stone, he's at 17.5.
That would just be pure muscle.
Aye, I would think so. Aye.
Again, a fight that I went to down in Manchester the same night as White and Chisora was Frampton and Warrington. We discussed off camera a little bit about that fight and all that. How did you?
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I was actually blown away. I took a quiet walk round to a local pub and locked myself in a wee booth and watched it on the big screen in a pub in the south side on my own, and I was blown away.
Friends, right?
I have no friends, but I really wanted to watch that fight, and I knew I had a feeling it'd be a classic. I had a feeling it'd be a classic because I thought that Warrington would take it to Frampton, and Frampton's not the kind of guy that'll back down. If he likes to control the pace, Carroll does. He likes to pick his shots smart. He likes to hurt you. So I thought that Warrington he's fearless. He's fearless, and he's got a phenomenal work rate, and his tempo and his volume's great to watch. So I thought that he would take it. I thought he would take it to Carroll, and he would make Carroll fight, and he did make him fight. And what a fight it was! I was blown. I could not take my eyes off the screen. And
Frank Warren said that was the best world title fight British world title fight or something like that.
Yeah.
What he said that he's ever seen, he's ever witnessed.
Aye, I mean you can see why he would say that. I mean he's seen a few, hasn't he? And that one was ridiculous.
You think the first two rounds, the way Warrington came out, basically set the tone for the fight? Maybe Carl was surprised at the
I think he was.
Speed
I think he was.
Punches that came at him.
I think the fact that Warrington never really showed him that much respect. Carroll demands respect, and rightly so, for everybody that he fights. And people are normally fairly cautious when they first feel his power, because he's a hard puncher for his weight. He's a hard puncher, and he'll get your respect. So I think for that fact, I mean, he even nailed Warrington once or twice when Warrington was on the charge when he was rushing in.
Clipped him
and Warrington just ate them up and kept coming, and it was unbelievable. What a fight! I mean, I don't know if they could even actually go through that again at that tempo and volume with that many punches thrown, and credit to their chins as well. Both of them took some shots, and some of the body shots that went in as well. Wow. I was so glad sitting there watching that, thinking, I'm so happy I'm on the other side.
You're not fighting anymore.
My word.
So what do you think's next for? Next for both of them. I mean, Warrington, he's probably going to eye up probably one of the other world champions, Leo Santa Cruz.
You would think so. Aye, he has to be aiming to take on one of the bigger names now, doesn't he? And try and get himself another belt. It'd be great to see unify a couple of titles, wouldn't it? It would be brilliant, and it would very deserved. Well,
I was speaking to someone, Alex. I was saying, I can't remember who it was down in Manchester at the hotel. If he was to fight Leo Santa Cruz, they've both got that sort of style. They're both similar styles of fights, where they're long and rangy, but they tend to fight inside. Loads of body shots.
Aye.
I mean, Warrington Santa Cruz will be
it'd be a brilliant fight as well, wouldn't it? I mean, I think all the fights in the featherweight division would be excellent, but that one would be particularly special, I think. And you'd have that whole thing as well, where Leo Santa Cruz wouldn't want to back down. I think he would eventually, and probably try and box a wee bit smarter than what he did in perhaps the first Carroll Frampton fight. He boxed really clever and used his attributes in the second fight with Carroll, but in the first fight, if he employs their tactics against Josh Warrington, I can't see him coming out victorious. I think Josh Warrington would run him out the ring, to be honest, because he takes a great shot, his work rate is phenomenal, his punch power is to be respected. Even Carroll Frampton said that, and I've done enough live Josh Warrington fights to see that he does demand respect when he lands. He's a hard puncher. He's a harder puncher than what people think.
And Josh echoes that as well, Joe. When I was speaking to Josh down there, he was saying that he's not got the one punch power to knock you out, but he can stop you.
He can. It's just volume. Yeah. It's volume and tempo, and when he sets that, he's like a steam train. He just keeps going and going and going. He's not a particularly thudding puncher either. He's not got heavy hands, but it's just more the volume.
The speed as well.
The speed as well. He's very, very quick. And he's got a great engine, hasn't he? He's got a great engine. He's always in fantastic condition. His body's always in great condition. He's always ripped and really lean, and he looks good. He shines. You can see that it's probably reasonably tough for him to make the weight, but not to the point that it affects his performance.
Yeah, well, but again, the other person on that fight, Carl Frampton, I mean,
yeah.
Where do you see Carl going from here? I mean, I've seen a few people saying that if he retires, then there's no shame in retiring.
No, there's no now. No, there isn't.
What can you see Carl doing next?
I don't think he'll, like, Kenny knowing Carl Frampton's personality, I don't think he'd like to retire on a loss. I think he'd like to fight another once, twice maybe. I don't think he'll like. I mean, he might have a good enough rest and want to fight Warrington again. Think, that wasn't me the first fight. I employed the wrong tactics, or I've done something wrong. I'm quite sure him and Jamie Moore have spoke about it countless times, and I'm repping Jamie Moore at the actually VIP.
Yeah,
my old mate, and I just didn't think that. I just didn't think they'll sit on that. I think that after a good break, I think they might want that fight again. I might be wrong, but
I think the fans, it wants a rematch. I mean, the fans enjoyed it. I think every single person I've spoke to so far said it was an absolutely great fight. So, but I think Josh has got other plans with the world champions. But the rematch, I don't think anyone would grumble.
Nobody would grumble at that rematch. My word, if they could do that again,
definitely. Wow. 2018's gone. We're in 2019 now. One fight two fights have been announced, but I want to talk about one that kind of hasn't quite been announced yet. I don't believe, but it's definitely set for April. Well, it's going to be set for April in New York. Is Crawford versus Amir Khan? Crawford. I spoke to you off camera. Crawford. Do you believe he's pound for pound number one?
I think he's the best pound for pound fighter in the world. I don't think at this point that anybody could take that mantle over him right now. I mean, there's arguments for Canelo and Lomachenko, but I just think in the welterweight division as well, these guys in that weight division now, the guys that he's beat in the past as well, coming up through lightweight right through to welterweight, I just think he's a brilliant fighter. He's an all-rounder. He's got absolutely everything, and there's nothing that he lacks in any area. And I've noticed as well that since he's moved up in weight, his chin, we've seen him wobble by Gamboa. He's never been remotely hurt, even by bigger punchers. Renowned bigger punchers, Benavidez and these guys he's fought, they've never hurt him when they've cracked him on the chin, and I think that's just due to his weight being more comfortable, because we know that he walks around like in the 170s and he gets down to 140 something, so that's not an easy shift.
Definitely not.
But he's I'm amazed that Khan's taking that fight. I mean, everybody obviously. I think Khan will make quite a good start because he's a brilliant boxer. You can never forget that. Look at his resume, look who he's fought. Olympic silver medalist, unbelievably quick, possibly the fastest hands in boxing still, maybe even. But again, it's just that fact his chin might just let him down again. And Crawford's a big puncher as well. No denying that, he's a huge puncher. He's very patient. And and he always has a good look at you. So I can see Khan starting quite well, quickly. Crawford might try and counter him. Khan will counter him with combinations. He'll counter Crawford's counters with combinations, and he'll look really, really good. But I think towards the 8th, 9th, 10th round, I think the fight will start to turn, and I can see Crawford just overtaking and just maybe stopping Amir quite late.
And what about are you interested in Khan fighting Brook at any point, or
it's something that I think that the general boxing public in the UK would like to see. I think more than that excites world boxing fans all over. I think that your sort of hardcore boxing fans in the UK would like to see that fight. And you can see why. Can see why. I mean, it's quite clear now that they're both in the tail end of their career, and they've made all those is it memes or memes? The boys always slag me for getting it wrong.
Was it a meme or a
meme or a meme, Mac? I don't know. Well, it's one or the other, and whatever it is, they've got Amir Khan as an old man, and they've got Brook as an old man, and the fight's happening in 2035.
I've seen that.
And you kind of think to yourself, that would be a real shame, if that kind of thing happened. I think Mayweather and Pacquiao happened a wee bit late as well. I don't think we've actually seen the best today.
It's not the fighters to blame, is it? You think the fighters want it? Is it? What?
I don't know. I mean, really, if the fighters wanted it that much, they're powerful enough people to sit there and say, "Look, that's the fight we want." Make it happen.
Yeah.
So the fighters have got a part to play in it, but of course, boxing politics, money, promoters, TV channels. You know, some guys are signed with one TV company, some guys are signed with the other. How do you meet in the middle? You know, it's tricky stuff.
One of them ones, eh? So
tricky stuff.
Again, let's talk about I don't know if it was announced, I think it was the 2nd of January, the EUBANK against the DeGALE fight.
Yeah.
So I just had to pick that up, my camera stopped there, Alex. Sorry, what was that? Just continue talking about DeGALE.
What were we talking about?
DeGALE.
Aye. I think that I still think Chris Eubank Jr.'s got a lot to offer. I still think he's a good young fighter. He's one of the hardest workers in British boxing, and you know he's always on, he's always training, and then we've got a guy in James DeGALE who was perhaps one of the most talented boxers that Britain's had in the past 10-15 years, in my opinion. With loads of good attributes as well. Great chin, great work rate, great stamina, good combination puncher. You know, I was a fan of James DeGALE, and I actually think that's a really interesting fight.
Who wins?
I think James DeGALE wins. I think amateur experience, pedigree, and you say pedigree, he's the son of Chris Eubank, but I mean Olympic pedigree, you know, world class amateur. All the attributes that he has, I just think are just too much for Eubank Jr. Too much experience, like all round the board. Just too much experience, and I think that Eubank, unless he can set a fanatic pace and like maintain that for 12 rounds and really like run James DeGALE out the ring, I think that's the only chance he's got. You know, and if he can't do that, he's not got any chance of winning, in my opinion.
Where does the loser go then?
That's a hard one, actually. That is a hard one. For James DeGALE, it wouldn't look great. I think it would maybe be time to call it a day. I would think so, aye.
What about Eubank if he loses? Where does he go? Do you think he's still got enough in him? He's got that name behind him, so there's going to be people that want to fight him, isn't there?
Aye, oh no, of course. I mean, people will always want to take on Chris Eubank Jr. for one reason or another. I think that he irritates a lot of people, and I think that's a reason that they'll want to fight him. Another reason is that a lot of people might not think he's that great, that he's going off the name of his dad and they can get a big win over him, and it's a good name on their records, but he is a good fighter. There's no escaping that. He's a good fighter. Good fighter.
Okay, we always talk about the one guy that we know very well is Josh Taylor. He's flown out to New York today, so he's enjoying his life. Quite well done to him.
Aye, of course, aye.
He's got a huge fight coming up, I think maybe in March, April time against Ivan Branchik, and that spoke about many times. How do you see the state of Scottish boxing? I mean, you're involved heavily in the amateur scene now because you've got your two young boys, Junior and Macklin, fighting in the Scottish. But how do you see Scottish boxing in the future ahead for Scottish boxing?
I think things are looking great. I think things are looking really good. The amateur setup looks to be improving. They're doing a lot of work with the Russians. I was invited to Boxing Scotland's like their training base in Brigton a couple of months back there, and I liked some of the stuff that they were doing. It looks like they've got a good plan, in place for amateur boxing to improve the young fighters. They're getting a lot of international experience again. They seem to be abroad, training in Russia and things like that, picking up different skill sets and different ideas. Things are looking really good in the amateur setup. And we've got some, again, I always say we've got unbelievably talented boxers in Scotland. It's just that wee bit extra push, the coaching,
and stuff like that,
the nurturing, the right fights, at the right times. International experience and competitions are really important for the young guys to help them progress and help them develop as young athletes as well, and help them experience all the different fundamentals that you need in place to be a successful boxing champion. And it's looking really, really good. We've always got the talent. The talent's always there. It's the other things that we've always seemed to lack in.
So you're seeing the sort of graph go up rather than down,
Oh no, you definitely are. Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. And of course, Josh is headlining it. Headlining boxing in a professional sense anyway for Scotland right now, and you've got some great young guys coming through behind them. So I think we're in a really good place. Really good.
Talk about your two young boys in Macklin and Junior. And that. I mean, they're both Scottish champions now. Stuff like that. I don't know if I've spoken about them before in the past, but I kind of want to ask you, do you see both of them turning pro and following your footsteps and winning the titles that you won and whatnot? I can definitely see Macklin turning professional. Macklin's been in the gym since he was 4. He's trained nearly every day his young life, and it's all he's ever wanted to do. Macklin told me when he was a wee boy that he would be a world champion. A wee boy, and
That's all he does. It's his whole life. Junior has only took up boxing a couple of years ago, and he's already picked up a national title. He had a brilliant win at the end of the year, just there.
The home show.
On the home show against young Ali Lang, who's National Open champion. And I think it's in the region of 40 bouts compared to Junior 6, and he performed really, really well. He used his tall, awkward southpaw attributes to confuse young Ali, and he caught him a lot on the counter. And even when he did get caught and trapped, Junior's got a great chin. He can take a great shot, you know, and sometimes he'll have to rely on that because he loses concentration a wee bit. Sometimes he's a novice.
Yeah,
he's a novice. He's a raw novice, but he's going to take some stopping. I think in the next year or so. The more experience he picks up, I think the better he's going to get. And I think amateur boxing's definitely. In my opinion, knowing Alec, I think that'll be Alex. That'll be it for Alec. I think he just loves to box and the amateur competitions and stuff. And he's told me that his aim would be hopefully to make Team GB at some point.
The Olympics and stuff.
Yeah. He's never spoke about anything any further than that. He's never expressed any desire to turn professional. I don't think he's got any interest in professional boxing really at all, to be honest. But Macklin, on the other hand, he's been telling me he'd be a world champion since he was a wee boy. So
there you go then.
So I think that'll probably be his main goal. I mean, he already fights like a wee pro.
Man in the corner, will you get your...
Well, I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think so. It's good fun training him. You know, I've always trained Macklin. So.
How do you feel in the corner when your boys are fighting? When they're...
Well, I try and switch on to being a coach and forget about being their dad. You know. I genuinely do, because I think it's really important that you look at it from a coach's point of view, and that you're concentrating on what their opponents are doing that they could capitalise on, or on the mistakes that they're making. You know, they might be putting themselves in a situation where, you know, they're at a disadvantage. So I always try and look at it from a coach's perspective rather than a dad's. You know, and I think I've been quite good at doing that so far. The nerves and stuff beforehand, I seem to be okay with it. You know, I've got confidence in their ability. I've got confidence in their ability. I know how hard they train as well, which is always, you know, if I thought, you know, if they were playing it and they weren't training hard, or they were in the corner talking to their pals, or you know, I'd be concerned, because it's the hardest sport in the world. So, but the fact I know how dedicated they are and how hard they train and how closely they watch their diets and stuff, it's all very impressive. So I'm normally quite confident when they're competing.
Do you ever let them watch any of your old fights?
Aye, they do. I mean, somebody sent us some DVDs a few weeks ago. All my fights didn't seem to. I mean, it's not that long ago I was fighting, but they didn't all seem to be available, and which is a bit weird, really. Sometimes when I think.
One fight that keeps popping up on Sky Sports is the.
Aye, I know it's quite weird. It's the one that they always show. I mean, it was really exciting, but a lot of the early fights and stuff you can't even find on YouTube or something like that. I always find, even a lot of my amateur bouts, I mean, in the World Amateur Championships and stuff, didn't seem to be on YouTube anywhere, which is quite odd. It was only in the 90s, so it is quite weird, but there you go. But no, I do, they often flick through some of my fights, but you know, they're more modern. They like watching the more modern guys than me.
Okay, I want to talk about your fights then. Which fight would you say is your best fight when you were fighting? Which one did you really thought, I've made it, this is it? Was it the world title winning that?
It probably would have been in Cardiff. I mean, you know, I was up against the #1 contender and Koba Gogaladze, who was supposed to fight the champion at the time, and Johan Guzman, and apparently Guzman didn't want the fight. The truth of the matter was he couldn't make the weight. It was as simple as that, and he was holding on to the title for as long as he could, and then there was rumours coming back they didn't want to fight an awkward Russian southpaw in Gogaladze, who was a brilliant Olympian, European amateur champion, really good fighter, who I've seen in numerous competitions as a young amateur and was always really impressed by him. He was always a weight or two above me as well. He beat a Cuban in the Olympics, actually. He eliminated the Cuban in Atlanta at lightweight, a really good boxer. And I knew it would be a really hard fight. And it did come a bit late, I think. It would have been, in an ideal world, I would have had fought for the world title a couple of years before what I actually did. And then obviously would have given me the opportunity to move up and weight a bit earlier, which is one of the biggest mistakes that I made, was holding myself down at super featherweight. And you know, I would commonly lose 3 stone every single time I had a title fight. It would be 3 stone or thereabouts.
Crazy,
that I would have to drop, you know. you know, and I had a 6-pack at 12 stone, you know, and I'd have to get down to 9 stone 4.
You had a 6-pack at 14 stone?
I've got a 6-pack at 14 stone, you're right. And people didn't really understand that and realise how much weight I always had to lose to make the weight for the fights.
I remember people telling me stories that you would lose probably a stone the night before.
Aye, it wasn't uncommon. Yeah. Wasn't uncommon. Aye, and time again, and it was just ridiculous. Like thinking back to that now, and now that I train young fighters and stuff, I just would never allow them to lose anything close to that kind of weight. You know, never in a million years, no way. It's just ridiculous, and it massively affects your performance. And you know, by the time I'd got round to I think we were speaking about off camera as well. By the time I got round to the Nicky Cook fight, I think it took me 9 months to make the weight. So we'd come up with excuses, and you know, just to buy me enough time to actually make the weight. You know, and I think when I went back to get evaluated at the institute, I think I was close to 13 stone or thereabouts, and I had to obviously make 9-4. Aye, you know, it was just ridiculous, and it showed in that performance. You know, I was like a shell, you know. So and it was there was just nothing left in the tank. Aye, it's quite sad, but
it is what it is.
Aye, it is what it is. It was the era that I was in. But
what about the Gomez fight? Do you ever look back on that with regrets, or do you
I do. Not so much with regrets, because I took a lot away for it. You know, I took a hell of a lot away for that fight. But there is things that I do regret. You know, I probably should have went back out to the States to finish my training camp. Well, a lot of people do know, it's quite common knowledge that I took quite ill, quite close to the fight. I think we didn't actually go to the doctors until roughly about the Monday before the bout. I had a viral infection in a gland in my throat, and I kept swallowing the infection, you know, so my body was riddled with some kind of bug, I think, some kind of poison. I don't know what it was. But they gave me really strong antibiotics for it, and I actually stayed in bed the week of the fight. The whole week of the fight I lay in bed and took antibiotics, and my throat was so sore and swollen that I could only sip iced water. Right. But I remember the antibiotics gave me really quite bad water retention. So on the morning of the weigh-in, I was still 8 pounds over the weight. On the morning of the weigh-in. Jeez. So I had to don the plastic suit and get up off the seat and try and shake off the 8 pound, and obviously I'd been sick and I'd not really consumed any calories that week, so my body had virtually no energy in it at all. I managed to get the weight off between running, walking in a plastic suit, going to a sauna that day. I still failed the weight at the scale. I think I needed a couple of attempts to make the weight, and I looked absolutely horrific. And then with the refueling process, normally I would put 20 plus pounds back on in between a weigh-in and a fight. I mean, like 22 pound, 25 pound I could put on, and my body was like a sponge. And with losing so much water, I could regain a lot of water back, carbs, water, salt, and just get the balance right, and I would regain the weight quite quickly. And I remember going in at the ring. By the time I went to the ring, I was 9 stone 7.5.
3 pounds.
So I put 3 pounds back on. Everything I consumed, I remember blending fruit and stuff to try so I could swallow it. I remember it just running right through me. Just kept running right through me. So I'd normally go in the ring at 10 stone 10, roughly. On occasion, 10, 12, 11 stone. You know,
you went just 3 pounds over
3 pounds over the weight. And I remember my punch resistance was always good. You know, I'd never been doing 100 and blah blah amateur fights, never took a standing count in 100 odd amateur fights. I've sparred middleweights, welterweights. Anybody will tell you, they bang me in the chin, I went nowhere. But the effect that weight had on me, my punch resistance was gone, and my legs were gone. I remember the plan was to box and move for the first 45 rounds, like what I'd done in the second round. It was a virtual masterclass. If you watch the second round,
I've seen the fight a few times.
It was punch perfect, and that was the plan. That for 5 or 6 rounds, Gomez is done. After that, he's got nothing left, and then plant the feet and take him out, body shots, head shots, mix them up, because he's normally done after that. 5-6 rounds was his max, but I just couldn't. My legs just weren't working, and after I did put on a bit of a masterclass in the second round, I remember going back to the corner and saying to Terry and the guys in the corner, my legs are shot, I've got to just stand here now and just hope for the best, because I can't keep moving like that. But every shot I took, I could feel it, and I never ever felt punches before.
Yeah.
You know, I would normally take a shot or shake it off in seconds, but if you're not in shape, then it's a different
again,
ballgame.
people talk about this fight to this day. Like every time, I guess we played in Sky Sports. If there's no
All the
boxing,
time,
Sky
aye.
Sports, they'll show you.
I know, eh?
So,
I know.
Seamus
It's
one you
great.
got beat. Like,
I know, it's crazy. Eh? There were so many good ones as well. The Craig Docherty fight was a great fight. So was a Lemon fight. They were all great fights, you know, and against really top class fighters that would more than hold their own in this day and age at super featherweight and lightweight or whatever. Really, really top class guys, and I'd always show that one. But it's exciting. It's great to watch.
And the fans love it as well.
The fans love it. Aye.
Well, Alex, you know, apart from my camera running at halfway through the interview, I enjoy my interviews with you. What have you got planned for the rest of the day? Have you
I'm training Mac now. Mac's got to do some training now. They're still off school at the minute, so Mac trains daily. Any chance he gets, drives me nuts.
You want a wee word with Mac? Come on then, son. We'll get one after this.
So training Mac today, and then the boxing club starts tonight. I don't know. Are you jumping in? The boxing club starts tonight. All the guys are back. We'll go. The championships coming up shortly. We'll have Eastern Districts, Intermediates. Alec Junior's competing in both, and all our other guys as well. For the Meadowbank / Treble A club, we're all back on the night. Aye.
Good stuff. Right, Macklin,
Back
you're
to
in
training.
the interview. So how's training going?
It's alright. It's just starting now. Quite got a bit heavy over Christmas, but I'm staying. I've kind of went up in weight, so I'm sitting at my natural weight right now, so I don't have
Dad
to
is
make
saying
weight
you're up
for
to
the
40 kilos, is that right?
Yeah.
Bigger boys to fight now. So how is that? You hurt your shoulder, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, your shoulder was bad for quite a while, wasn't it? How's it now?
It's getting better. I'm just trying to do as much as I can for it, and just been stretching over there and just trying to do as much. Yeah.
So what's the plan for this year? I mean, you've won your second Scottish title, I believe, last year.
Yep, we won two last year. Aye.
So opening the novices, so now I've got I've only had 6 fights, but 10 bouts in it.
Unregistered.
What do they call the exhibitions?
Yeah.
Exhibitions.
And need 7 to be in the intermediate. So if I get a fight before that, I will fight in them. But I've got the Easterns. January or February.
February. And then the Open March.
Yeah.
So he'll be not defending his title because he's going up in weight again.
Yeah.
So
Quite a bit.
aye, about 6 kilos compared to his last title. I think he's just grown so fast now. You know, I mean, he won his first.
How old are you, Macklin? 10? No, you're 11 now.
Yeah, 12 in February.
12 in February.
Yeah. So he won his first Open title at 34 kilos, and he won his last one at 38. So he'll be up to 40 now, probably.
Ridiculous.
Man, he's eating me out of house and home.
So
steak after steak.
Living the good life. So what's I spoke to your dad. He says that you'll probably turn pro at some stage in that. Is that your ambition is to be a world champion in some stage?
Yeah, definitely. Just try and do as much as possible.
Take over the amateur scene and then take over the pro scene. Is that basically it?
Definitely.
Have you got ambitions to fight over in the States and stuff like that and see the world?
I want to move to America when I'm older.
Really?
So, yeah, definitely.
So your dad's got a retirement home over there then?
No, I'm leaving him here.
So why the States? It's just good weather?
Don't know. It's just so much more. It's just so much better.
Have you been to the States before?
No, I've not. I think both my brothers have when he was training over there, but I've not been. So
it's quite weird because I always wanted to box in America as a pro. I never wanted to box in the UK. I always wanted to box in the States, and it's quite funny that he wants to box in the States as well, because he doesn't know that I wanted to move to the States when I was young and box there. And I actually got a couple of offers from America that I turned down, and Frank Warren's offer was far better than them. So I ended up staying here. But it was something that I always wanted to do.
You guys from here get more opportunities over in the States now, you know, so...
They are. I always remember, you've got to look back to Wayne McCulloch's amateur career was fantastic, and he was a hero of mine as a boy, and he moved to America, you know, and he got a massive contract over there and moved to Vegas, and of course he hooked up with Eddie Futch, who was possibly the greatest trainer of all time, or one of them at least, and you know, he trained Freddie Roach and Joe Fraser and all these legends, and you know, his setup was phenomenal, and I always remember I wanted to do something like that when I was a young amateur, and it never ever happened, so maybe it'll happen for Mac.
There you go. Well, no doubt you keep training. I think I see all your videos and stuff like that. You're alright in the speed bag as well, eh? So you've got what it takes. So, but I want to follow you very closely. So this will probably be my first of many interviews with you, Max. So get used to my face, son.
Yeah.
Get used to my face. Josh and your dad would tell you. Josh Taylor and your dad would tell you I'm a nippy guy when it comes to interviews. I'll take you all the time. Right, guys. I'll let you get to the training.
Class, Andrew.
And thanks again, Alex, for doing this.
Good luck, boys.
Right.
And I'll see you soon.
Thanks, mate.